Imagine the best day of fishing you ever had. Now multiply that by 10. That's an FLW Tour final round on awesome Lake Champlain. Larry Nixon tells you how they did it. Next from Plattsburgh, New York on FLW Outdoors.
Yes, sir, that's what we're looking for, my friend.
Ball game, baby. Yeah.
He could have one more, and he does.
We have a champion.
Yeah. Who's your daddy? Who's your daddy? Hallelujah!
Welcome to FLW Outdoors. We come to you from Plattsburgh, New York on the shores of Lake Champlain. Taylor Carr with Larry Nixon. When you say Lake Champlain, Larry, outstanding bass fishery.
It really is, Taylor. It's one of the greatest fisheries in the world, and it's huge, you know. I mean, we can scatter out all over the place as long as the wind don't blow, and it's just full of them big brown bass. And it takes so much heat off the largemouth that you just don't know which way to go.
We've just seen an exciting shootout-style weigh-in, and Aaron Martins and Scott Martin were the final two. Scott Martin won it. What's the key to winning on Lake Champlain?
Well, I'm not real sure. I hope to learn that from Scott myself, but I know one thing. The key is to catch big quality fish, and that's what Scott did.
We'll talk with Scott, Aaron, and David Walker. What do you want to learn from them? Is there any one fact you want to know about this lake?
Well, the big key in all of bass fishing is what's on the bottom, how deep's the water, what were you keying on, and that's what I hope to get from these guys this week, is to find out exactly what they were fishing.
You always learn something when we talk to these other pros.
Well, I learned something from them. I always learn where I messed up, of course, but, you know, I learned something because every time you come back, fishing's always different, and a lot of times it's just the guy that puts together everything, catching a few fish off the spawn and a few fish that have already spawned, and they just put the whole package together for 4 days.
All right, Larry Nixon gets the story in a few minutes. Right now, I'll look back at the 2004 Forest Wood Open on Lake Champlain.
Forest Wood Open, Day 1.
Launch on Lake Champlain started just minutes ago, and the weather is picture perfect. Clear and very little wind, and that should open the door for some big stringers on day 1. Champlain is such a strong fishery that almost anything works, from Michael Black flipping a tube, to Dan Mansky Carolina rigging, to Jimmy Millsaps with a fluke. The total day 1 catch broke the Champlain record from 2 years ago, with 189 pros toting limits.
This is a fun place to fish.
I have never been any place like this, Charlie. It's unreal.
Remember Jimmy Millsaps? That fluke he was throwing helped him get 18-12 and 3rd place.
I'm working it a little different than most people. I'm working it sort of fast, then I'm sort of just killing it.
Leading the way, David Walker with just over 20 pounds, all largemouth, flipping a tube to holes in shallow grass. In the Land O'Lakes Angler of the Year race, Shinichi Fukai's lead appears secure. He stands in 17th place. His nearest challengers, Yamaha Pro Greg Hackney and Castrol Pro Mike Sermon, are tied for 71st.
Forest Wood Open, Day 2.
It's day 2 at Lake Champlain, which means for 190 of our pros, this is the final day of the 2004 regular season. However, there are 85 pros within 4 pounds of the top 10 cut. It's still anybody's ball game at the Forest Wood Open. For all of Lake Champlain's beauty and the amazing abundance of fish, wind is a common nemesis. It affects the fish, but mainly it affects the fishermen. As the afternoon advanced, so did the wind. Meanwhile, the weigh-in was a show and tell of the day's events. While many anglers were focused on winning the Forest Wood Open, others needed a strong showing here to qualify for August's FLW Championship.
I had 9.6 yesterday and 17.10 today, so I'm cutting it pretty close on the championship. I think I came back today and caught enough weight to put me in the championship.
Also on day 2, Shinichi Fukai secured 24th place and clinched the 2004 Land O'Lakes Angler of the Year, capping an amazing season. As for the Forest Wood Open, Rob Kilby continued to dominate, moving from 2nd to 1st place with 16 pounds 10 ounces. David Walker is just behind Kilby after returning to his top spot 65 miles away.
I thought it was a gamble I needed to take. Went down there this morning and caught one first cast. 10 minutes later, I had maybe 12, 13 pounds of fish in a boat.
A talented field enters the final round, including 2003 Angler of the Year Dan Moorhead. last year's Forest Wood Open champ Aaron Martins, Fuji Pro Randy Blockett, and BF Goodrich Pro Scott Martin.
Day 3.
Day 3 began with less wind, which meant more time to fish for a whole lot of money. And the leader out of the qualifying round struggled in the morning, but Rob Kilby turned on to a limit of fish just after noon. However, his weight would place him in 9th place by day's end. 2 anglers had hot hands at the start of the final round. One was Fuji Pro Randy Blockett, who landed his limit early and began culling quickly. He'd bagged the best weight of the day with 16 pounds, 2 ounces. The other hot hand belonged to David Walker. After a 65-mile run, Walker's largemouth gamble paid off with 16 pounds, just 2 ounces behind Blockett. And in case you didn't think it could get any closer, Dan Moorhead weighed in 16-1. 3 names headlined the list at the end of Day 3, Blockett, Moorhead, and Walker. But the top 8 anglers were all within 3 pounds of the lead. Saturday's shootout was on. With so many anglers separated by so few ounces, everyone knew everyone else would be catching fish. Catching the big bites would be the key. Catching a limit was not a problem. Most of the finalists had theirs within a couple of hours of launch. Those top 3 anglers who entered the day separated by an ounce would finish the tournament 4th, 8th, and 5th respectively. The exciting shootout-style weigh-in revealed a shake-up at the top. While everyone prepared for a typical Lake Champlain weigh-in where every ounce counts, this Forest Wood Open was won by well over 2 pounds.
I think slightly larger than 1/12.
I told Reed that I was going to catch him a birthday fish today, and this is it.
A $200,000 birthday fish. This fish weighs in at 3 pounds, 15 ounces. We have a champion.
BF Goodrich Pro Scott Martin is your winner of the 2004 Forest Wood Open.
The final leaderboard showed Scott Martin way out in front with 32.5 pounds. The tight race was for second place, with Aaron Martins edging Jonathan Newton by 1 ounce for $100,000. Randy Blockett and David Walker took 4th and 5th. Rob Kilby came in 6th, followed by Chris Baumgardner, Dan Moorhead, Charlie Hartley, and Jason Kilpatrick. Rob Kilby won the Shot Back Clean Sweep Award for the best weight of the qualifying round with 35 pounds and 12 ounces. Charlie Hartley won the Energizer Keeps On Going Award, coming back from 44th place on day 1 to make the cut and eventually finish 9th. Hartley also won the Schick Close Shave Award by creeping into the top 10.
Now, you talk about long trips to find these fish. Our next guest made a real long trip, 130 miles round trip for David Walker, the BF Goodrich Pro. He's our next guest on FLW Outdoors. Time for this week's Field and Stream Trivia. Angler of the Year races are always tight, but this year Shin Fukai bested Yamaha pro Greg Hackney by a 73-point margin. That was the largest in FLW history. What Angler of the Year race was won by the closest margin? Was it in 1996, 97, 99, or 2002? The answer coming up on FLW Outdoors. The Field and Stream Trivia answer is B, 1997. That was the year Clark Wendlandt beat Shaw Grigsby by a mere 3 points. FLW Outdoors continues, and now's the time we find out how these anglers fish this incredible fishery. David Walker finished 5th and won $30,000. He's a BF Goodrich Pro from Sevierville, Tennessee. And Larry, he was on some great fish day 1. He had the day 1 lead.
He really was. You know, Taylor, I predicted the guy to win this tournament would be fishing south if he could make it back all 4 days. I noticed you was fishing big grass mats, and actually you were looking for what I felt like there was really 2 keys to the 2 areas that I saw you fish. And one of them had a little ditch, and the other one, the grass bed actually went from huge wide and started necking down narrow, and it's like the fish was right in the middle of that heavy mat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so. I don't know. I never could figure out just exactly why those fish would bunch up or stay in one little spot, because so much of it looked just the same. But like you were saying, that one area that kind of necked down, and I think that kind of created a funnel, because a lot of the bait fish and bluegills that you see in that grass probably just travel that grass. They never venture out of it, because when you got outside of the grass, there was a lot of northern pike. I'd get a lot of pike bites when I got to the outside edge. And so I think that grass was their cover, and those bass just stayed right in there with them and just ambushed them from below.
That's one thing I've always learned about fishing up north. If you find the pike, you better get the heck out of there because there ain't going to be many bass there. And, I mean, that's just the way it is, isn't it, David?
Yeah, usually that's the case.
Especially if it's them big ones.
Yeah, if it's big enough to eat the bass, you better get out of there. But I caught one little pike yesterday that there was a bass trying to get the jig away from him. So, I mean, those bass in that area were very competitive, and that's what I thought was going to let me win the tournament, because once you found them, you didn't have to talk them into biting. Yeah. They was looking for you.
Was there a certain depth of water that you really felt like was better than the rest?
Around 8 feet.
8 feet.
7 to 9 feet. Once you got past that, the grass quit topping out.
Yeah.
And when you got shallower than that, it was really matted and kind of mucky. And I still caught fish in those areas too, but not like.
Key word, topping out. That's a key word to a bass pro. Anytime cover tops out, that usually is one of the best areas to fish.
Sure, it is. I mean, when that grass is up there and late, it's grown a little bit longer than what the lake's going to let it, and it starts to lay over, that's usually the best place to catch bass, and that's the way it was down there.
Well done, David Walker. 5th place, $30,000. Congratulations.
Thanks so much.
Now let's look at some of the drama, how it happened on Lake Champlain. Details matter in fishing, and especially on Lake Champlain, where the winning margin figures to come down to mere ounces. On the morning of the final day, only 2 ounces separate the top 3. Randy Blockett at 16.2, Dan Moorhead at 16.1, and David Walker at 16 even. 5 more anglers are within 2 pounds. Aaron Martins, Jonathan Newton, Chris Baumgartner, Scott Martin, and Charlie Hartley. It's the tightest grouping of contenders ever to start an FLW final day.
I'm not even really thinking about anything but just one fish at a time. It's so close that it doesn't matter if you're in 7th or 8th place or leading the tournament. Everybody's just with ounces, so you can't get real excited about that. I mean, I'm just going to go out there and have a good time.
3 pounds back and not totally out of it, Rob Kilby. And then Jason Kilpatrick, who at least finds some focus in trailing by almost 5 pounds.
To go out today and try to catch 14 pounds of smallmouth won't catch me up in this game, so we're going to go and dedicate to largemouth again and try for a hero bag of fish today, which is kind of exciting in and of itself because everyone here is fishing clear water and fishing for smallmouths, and we're going to go find some stained water and try to flip up a big giant stack of largemouth. It'll be exciting.
Now finding big largemouth on Champlain, that's the tough part. Take day 1 leader, David Walker. The BF Goodrich Pro has made the 130-mile round trip to the southern end of Champlain 3 straight days, including Thursday's brutal conditions when the trip back took him 3 hours.
You couldn't have called it any better. This is exactly what we need right here, is a flat, calm day. The 7-rood's gonna run me down there at 70 plus. So I'm gonna be ready to go, man. When we get there, the fishing's gonna start. And it just started. I'll see you guys down there. Let's go.
But while he's making his long run south, much of the field is already fishing. And Walker was right about the flat, calm conditions. Very unusual for Lake Champlain. This is Jonathan Newton throwing a bubblegum-colored fluke and fishing only minutes away from takeoff.
I've just been throwing a Strike King Zulu around, just around 7, trying to stay in 7 to 8 feet of water. I think most of them are pre-spawn. And they're a little bit heavier than all the rest of the fish. I'd say it's 58 degrees now. It's cooled off 4 or 5 degrees since we started. There's one.
With that smallmouth, Newton moves into a virtual tie for the lead, a 2-day total of just over 16 pounds. It's the first of many catches today on Champlain. Coming up, the calm conditions make for perfect sight fishing, and that's great news for Aaron Martins. And it means Randy Blockett is getting an eyeful under the calm water of Lake Champlain.
FLW Outdoors is brought to you by Walmart. Always low prices, always. By Banana Boat. celebrate the sun. By Land O'Lakes, where simple goodness begins. And by Energizer batteries and flashlights, the power to keep you going and going.
Hi, I'm Pam Wood from Bono, Arkansas. It's time to play today's trivia game where you can go online and win. U.S. Bank is the official bank of the Walmart FLW Tour. The U.S. Federal Reserve introduced the new $20 bill last October and added 2 symbols of freedom as part of the new design. What are the symbols? U.S. flags, the U.S. Constitution, hawks, or American eagles?
To win, log on to FLWOutdoors.com. The winner is randomly drawn from all correct answers. Winners receive a die-cast replica of an FLW Outdoors sponsor boat, value $185. FLW Outdoors continues from Plattsburgh, New York, side of the Forest Wood Open, and Fuji Pro Randy Blockett, Larry Nixon, had a great tournament. He made the finals. Randy is a real thinker out there on the water.
Randy really is, and you know he's a great fisherman, and he had these fish figured out pretty good, and I really thought he had a chance to win the tournament.
Didn't quite win it, but let's see how he did today. Randy Blockett on the final day of the Forest Wood Open.
I don't see really any reason to change what I'm doing. I mean, if I'll just probably have to move out maybe deeper or something if the wind doesn't come up, but the conditions are real similar to the way they've been all week here. I don't see really any reason to change. I mean, I've seen enough 4-pound smallmouth to make me feel I'm in the right area. And they should be hitting some top waters. Not even catching pike this morning. Man, part of me wants to go and look for beds as calm as it is. Gotta fish the conditions, and if it was like this in practice, I'd be trying to top water. So, try top water. Man, I don't know what I'm doing, messing with this other stuff. I gotta stay with that jerk bait. Just trick 5 of the right ones to biting it. And I gotta just look for the right water for it instead of changing baits. I just need to stay focused and just not get ahead of myself. I mean, that wind ought to come up. I just can't see it staying like this all day long. And even if it does, maybe the fish will just, get more active. The thing about it, I brought 3 tubes with me if I want to go looking for beds. That's all I've got. I just got to do this for, just enough to satisfy my curiosity anyway. I hate bed fishing. I can't stand it. It's just not what I like to do. There it is. I can't believe it. My first bed fish of the entire year. Not really what I was looking for, but at least it's a start. At least you got to get one in the boat sometime. Now that fish, I just saw it cruising, and there was a little real inobvious bed, and dropped it down there and ate it. Now see that? That's a 3-pound fish. It's going to take 5 like that and a 4-pound kicker to win. Oh, lucky strike 2 bait. That's the thing, man, just adapting to the conditions. This is the last thing I expected to be doing today. Man, if we just had 2 or 3 more hours with this wind calm to be able to hunt them. I can't believe I did not catch a single fish on a jerkbait today. I mean, I salvaged 5, and I'm fortunate to do that because that's all the bites I had. But I don't know, I did everything I could. If I had to do it over again, I'd have done everything the same way. And if you can end your day and say that, I think you've had a good day.
Coming up on FLW Outdoors, a pro that just loves the clear water. He's an outstanding finesse fisherman out of Castaic, California. Aaron Martin's next when FLW Outdoors continues. We're back in Plattsburgh, New York. This is FLW Outdoors. We've just finished the Forest Wood Open. Aaron Martins finished second. Larry, he came close. He almost won the Forest Wood Open 2 years in a row.
I'll tell you what, he does a great job up here in these Clearwater lakes, and I'm really impressed with Aaron. He's a great fisherman. And these fish were bedding in how deep of water?
The deepest one I caught, I think, in this tournament was right about 14 foot.
Holy cow. You must have awesome eyes.
Yeah, it was hard to see him. A couple of times I had to spin the boat around, make it wake and kind of flatten the water out. And you can't always see the fish. You just see kind of a swept spot. And I throw a Konami flash, like a chartreuse white, something I could see. And I just watch it sink for like 20 seconds, and all of a sudden you'd see this shadow coming up off the bottom. You know there's a fish there, and I'd usually get my other rig out with a little heavier line. And
well, was you using a heavy sinker or something so you could get it to sink where you wanted it?
A lot of the times the fish would leave the bed if you went right over the top of them.
Yeah.
And using the light baits, if the fish wasn't on the bed, he'd be off in a distance and see it falling and come over to it. That's how I caught most of them.
Just get it in the area where the fish was, and you didn't have any problem getting it.
Yeah, they came to me.
Aaron, I was there this morning when the water got really glassy and you started being able to see those fish, and your intensity really picked up then.
I get excited. When I see calm water, it's like I just start jamming. I go as fast as I can go, and I can see when it's calm like that, I can go on high 100% and see everything within 30, 40 feet right left of me. And that's when it's really good, and that's when you can cover miles and miles of water.
This is what these pros do. They make adjustments to anything. I mean, Larry Aaron's really a master at that.
Yeah, that sight fishing is my favorite thing to do. I just enjoy seeing the fish. It's almost like a hunt, You see a fish and you see him swim off, or you see a bed and you flip your bait out there and see him come up on it. There's nothing more exciting than that. I can't. I mean, it's the best. It's the best.
All right, Aaron Martin, second place, $100,000. Congratulations. Aaron Martin's, everybody. Now, more of the drama from Lake Champlain. It's still early on the clear, calm final day of the Big Money Forest Wood Open, and the anglers are catching fish. Aaron Martins has boated 2 nice smallmouth to take the lead with close to 19 pounds. Dan Moorhead's fishing still water too, and he's drop shotting with a 4-inch worm.
This is beautiful. Yep. First cast, boys, and that's a big one.
The smallmouth goes 3 pounds and puts Moorhead only ounces behind Martins. Scott Martin is sight fishing, and the visibility is incredible as he targets smallmouth among scattered boulders. Martin has his eye on a bedding fish, and he wants to be sure he's ready when his white tube bait disappears. The depth is 4 feet, and the water temperature is 59 degrees. It's a 2-pound smallmouth, and it bumps the BF Goodrich Pro up to 4th place. Meanwhile, David Walker is just arriving at his spot 65 miles south of Plattsburgh, where Lake Champlain has an entirely different look.
Well, what we're fishing is fishing milfoil. And it's a grass that only grows maybe out to about 9 foot depth. Doesn't grow much deeper than that.
Walker's found a large area where the milfoil has topped out. Even better for the big largemouth he's targeting.
And you just fish along through it, and you'll find your little group of fish. And once you find them, they'll sure bite. That's what makes it worth driving an hour to get here.
Walker's gamble and his long ride appears to pay off. Within 45 minutes, he has a limit, and he jumps to 2nd place. On the leaderboard, it's Martins, Walker, Martin, and Newton. Everybody's catching fish except Day 3 leader Randy Blockett. His area is dead calm too, and he's in the midst of an internal debate about whether to change tactics.
Man, just part of me wants to go and look for beds as calm as it is. Yeah, it's just a lot easier. The water's so dang clear that they're extremely easy to see. And up here, they're really aggressive once you find them. I don't sight fish. I mean, I don't like to do it. I don't really agree with the concept, but on a day like today, you got to do what you got to do. Yeah, there's one on the bed there. There he is. Can't believe it was my first bed fish of the entire year.
Sight fishing pays off for Blockett. Within 40 minutes, he has a limit and takes over second place. Coming up from Lake Champlain, the tournament goes down to the wire. Coming up on FLW Outdoors, we have a little fun. Carlton Wing goes striper fishing with Fujifilm Pro Wesley Strader. It's next when FLW Outdoors continues.
FLW Outdoors is brought to you by EverStart Batteries, more power for your money. By Oh Boy Oberto Beef Jerky, taste what's real, it better be Oberto. By U.S. Bank, home of the 5-star service guarantee. And by Field & Stream, the soul of the American outdoors.
FLW Outdoors continues from Plattsburgh, New York. Taylor Carr with Larry Nixon. Now, Larry, when we talk about striper fishing, it drives most of you bass anglers crazy because the stripers get in the way a lot of times when you're trying to catch a big largemouth.
That's one of them things I have to fight forever just to get my lure back. You know, they're mean.
But they're fun to catch once in a while.
Oh, they're fun to catch. But I don't like to catch them when I'm in a tournament or practicing because they want to steal my lure, and I don't want them to get it.
All right, Wesley Strader was trying to catch him. Here we go. Advanced angling with Wesley Strader, striper fishing with the Fujifilm Pro.
You see them gulls up there diving down? Them stripers are breaking like crazy. Look at them gulls. They're going crazy.
Welcome back to FLW Outdoors, everybody. As you can see, the conditions outside may be a little bit less than favorable upside of the water, but underside of the water, we're trying to catch some fish and we're going to try to alter our tactics. We've caught a few bass, we've had some fun, but Wesley, a good angler is able to see the conditions around him, and you notice something right down here at the end of this dam. The gulls are moving.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we all like to bass fish, and I want to say I just bass fish and that's it. But when you see them gulls doing that up there, and you know them striper biting, you got to do it. It's just fun. I mean, we're just out here having a good time, and maybe we can catch some.
It's too much fun to pass up. So we're going to show you a little bit of a tip. If the bass fishing maybe slows down a little bit, or if you just want to try something new, Wesley's got a trick here that can help you catch some stripers, which is always fun to catch. First, we had to catch our bait. Wesley rigged some small white flies on spinning reels, enabling us to catch more than one at a time. We were fishing for 4 to 5 inch shad, and in a matter of moments, we had a live well full of bait. Striped bass enjoy strong current more than black bass, so the base of the dam is a great place to be, and getting there is the fun part. Wesley motored us toward the dam's base while I rode up front to help balance the boat. I was a hood ornament with a fishing pole.
What we're doing is these skipjack come in here in the fall of the year, and these stripers run in here after them. I mean, if the current wasn't so hard, the bass would run in here too. The bait on the upstream side of the dam, it gets washed through those turbines, and it chops them up. It's like this. It's just like chumming.
Yeah.
That's a natural chum machine right there.
Okay.
So you can tell by all the bird activity, they're just gorging themselves. Let's make us another run. There you go. You ain't big, but they fight pretty good. Double, baby, yeah! How's that for some Tennessee striper action?
I'll tell you. And that was fun.
That ain't a bass, but it sure is fun.
Woo, boy.
Thank you, boys. He got off.
So there you have it. Watch the area around you as you fish. Mother Nature can tell you how to have a great day on the water, even if it's not the way you planned it.
Coming up on FLW Outdoors, an interview with Forest Wood Open champion Scott Martin. Now, this is the best part on FLW Outdoors. We just finished the Forest Wood Open. Our winner, Scott Martin. Larry, he took home a check for $200,000. Super tournament, Scott.
It's just unbelievable. I tell you, it's the Lord has really blessed me this week, and I had a lot on the line. I had the FLW championship that I needed to make, and of course I wanted to win the tournament more than anything, and that's all I really thought about the whole entire week was just winning the tournament.
And I want to know how you caught your fish. You know, I got something to learn here. I want to know how deep you fished, and I want to know why you caught them in certain areas and nobody else did.
I tell you, the big key, there's two things. First was my electronics. I had Garmin GPS on the front of my boat as well as Garmin GPS on the back of my boat. So as I went around and practiced all week, I GPSed everything that was important. And when I GPS something on the front of my boat, I know that it's deadly accurate. So when I can pull up there in the tournament, I know for a fact that I'm on the spot. But also the key thing was practicing in places that people weren't practicing. And what I mean by that is that the wind blew quite a bit this week. So I was doing a lot of sight fishing and stuff like that. So I picked areas of the lake that were wind blown, that you could not see very well in, and picked windows of opportunity to go over there and look in places that this wind really beat up a lot. So as the tournament started, nobody knew that the fish were there because there was 2-foot waves rolling in half the time during practice. These smallmouth, they don't make a bed that's real obvious a lot of times. They spawn kind of real discreetly, and more than that is that they're like a chameleon. They blend in with that bottom. You can be right over top of a fish and not see him, and you almost have to make them move before you can really detect that he's there. So good polarized glasses were real important. I used solar back glasses, and they were a big key. Without them, I definitely wouldn't be able to catch any of my fish today. But a jerkbait, I fished with a Matsuo jerkbait all week as well, and that produced a big 4-pounder for me today, a 3.5-pounder yesterday. And so those were some post-spawn fish that I'd found that I was really hoping to catch, and that's kind of really what sealed the deal for me.
Larry, this is a win for his generation because you grew up, you came along fishing against Scott's dad, Roland Martin, and now Scott, his second win on the FLW Tour.
That's right. Me and Roland was always banging each other's heads, you know, when I was getting older, you know, back 10, 12, 15 years ago. And I asked him one time, I said, Scott, what are you going to do? You going to fish for a living? No, I don't think I can do that. He said, I think I'm going to go to school. And this was a true story at Okeechobee. Do you remember that? He was only about 17.
Oh, yeah.
And now here he is up here winning a great event.
Well, I tell you, I appreciate you. You really looking after me, and we've been good friends on the tour, and to stand here on stage with you really means a lot. For you to congratulate me in this tournament means more, and I tell you, it's an honor, and you're the best fisherman in the world behind my dad, of course.
He should maybe stick with his fishing thing, I think, Larry.
Oh, I think he definitely should stick with it. You know, he look at him. He's about handsome as you can get, and he knows how to talk, and he's just a great guy, and he wins.
I catch a fish every once in a while, too, I guess.
And today he won $200,000. Your champion, the Forest Wood Open, Scott Martin. Now, more on how Scott did it. Back to the drama from Lake Champlain. The phenomenal fishing on Champlain continues into the final hour of the Forest Wood Open. The seesaw battle has Aaron Martins back in the lead with 30 pounds, just ahead of Scott Martin, then Randy Blockett, and David Walker. But Blockett has depleted his supply of sight fish, and Walker's already started his long run back to Plattsburgh. Martins needs more weight to feel comfortable, and right now he's concentrating on what looks like a nice smallmouth on a bed. Maybe it's the 4-pounder he's been looking for.
Nope. Had to see though. I couldn't see him in the water.
Martins doesn't know it, but that's his last keeper fish. Over to Scott Martin, about a pound off the lead and carefully retying his tube again. He spotted a promising bedding fish too.
4-pounder.
That's the fish Martin needs, and he's right. It's a solid 4-pounder.
That right there is what we've been looking for all day. Ate that tube like a champ.
Knowing ounces can be golden on Champlain, Martin culls carefully. He's now at just over 30 pounds. Discarding a smaller fish, Martin gains a pound and moves into a virtual tie with Martins. It doesn't stay tied long. Martin has saved his best bedding fish for last, and his patience is paying off.
Oh, yes, baby. Woo! Yeah! I've been saving these. Unbelievable. Good fish right there. Hook perfect. That tube fluttered down on that bed. Typically, they'll hit it when the tube's on the bottom. This fish was so protective that as that tube glided down, and I just kind of twitched it in the midair like a little jerkbait. She ate it.
Martin adds one more pound to his live well for 32.5 over 2 days. Enough to know he'll be hard to beat.
Man, I'm excited about today. I want to win real bad, and so I'm going to be disappointed if I don't. But I tried. I mean, I gave it 110%. I had my confidence up all day.
And for good reason. His final fish gives him a 2-pound win over runner-up Aaron Martins, and it gives him the biggest payday of his young career. Scott, you take home a check for $200,000, your second win on tour. Congratulations.
Oh, I tell you, it's a blessing, and I thank you so much. And it's an honor to win the Forest Wood Open, I tell you.
How old are you?
28.
28 years old, Larry.
28 years old.
I've got a long time.
Your Forest Wood Open winner, Scott Martin.
Thank you.
Coming up on FLW Outdoors, Todd Airy and fishing a suspending jerkbait.
FLW Outdoors is brought to you by Pedigree, healthy, happy dog for life. By Fujifilm, get the picture. By Evinrude Outboards. And by Walmart, always low prices, always.
I'm Keith Williams, Land O'Lakes Pro from Conway, Arkansas. My first bass, I actually backseated my dad. I was about 3 or 4 years old. We were fishing on Lake Dardanelle. That's my dad's favorite lake. And I was fishing with my dad and my middle brother and Brian. And we were fishing on Lake Dardanelle going down the bank, and they were both throwing up ahead, you know, fishing crankbaits and spinnerbaits. And I tied on a plastic worm. I didn't know how to fish it. I asked my dad if they would bite it. He said, yeah, and he went back to fishing. And I threw out behind the boat and just kind of let it drag in the current, you know, let the boat pull the lure through the water, kind of like a spinnerbait. I wasn't letting it go to the bottom, and I caught about a 2.5-pound bass. Oh, it was great. Not only because of, you know, catching the bass and everything, but just the reaction of my dad, because he was so surprised that I threw back there and caught one dragging behind the boat, fishing behind, you know, the 2 other guys up there. I love being out there just trying to figure out what they're doing and how to catch them and all that. And on top of that, I like being my own boss, and I don't have to have a strict work schedule. I have to show up at a certain time and be at a certain place at a certain time for 5 days a week and all that. I love being on my own. To me, and that in itself is worth going after, you know.
And we're back on FLW Outdoors. We've just completed the exciting weigh-in here at the Forest Wood Open. Scott Martin was our winner. We're rejoined by Carlton Wing. Martin won by 2 pounds 4 ounces, and that was really a lot.
That was a lot, especially historically. You expect tight races here at Lake Champlain because everybody catches fish. But if you go to second place and third place, Aaron Martins finished in second, 1 ounce more than third place finisher Jonathan Newton. That translates to a difference of $50,000 in prize money as well. 1 ounce makes a lot of difference.
1 ounce is huge. You know, that just means one fish that just looks a little bit bigger.
All right, well, let's go now to this week's Ask a Pro question. And in this week's question, Brant Barnes of Rogers, Arkansas asks, when do you fish a suspending jerkbait? Well, Brant, your answer comes from Tyson Pro Todd Airy.
Great question, Brant. I primarily throw a suspending jerkbait in the pre-spawn time of the year, anytime the water's less than about 58 degrees. The appeal of this bait to a bass that time of year is the fact that it'll sit there in his face for as long as you want to let it sit there. Usually the minute you start the retrieve again, that's when he'll slam it.
All season long, we have a chance to get some behind-the-scene photos in our Fuji Fine Pick segment. And this week on Lake Champlain, we feature some of the touching moments of the final event of the regular season and the rough waters of Lake Champlain. Shinichi Fukai clinched the Angler of the Year at Lake Champlain, and here are some of the spoils of victory. It's called onigiri, which is a ball of rice wrapped in seaweed. It's a common Japanese lunch-on-the-go food. All eyes and cameras were on the Osaka, Japan native. A strong contingent of Japanese media was on hand to cover the international event, and I made sure I got a shot with Shin for my scrapbook as well. Co-angler Pam Wood's pro partner ran out of gas on day 1, negating a great day on the water. Pam reluctantly released about 15 pounds of fish, which never saw the weigh-in scale. It was high drama after the day 2 weigh-in for Tyson Pro Todd Airy, a Birmingham native who desperately wanted to qualify for the FLW Championship in Birmingham. And after intense study of the standings, he and his wife Misty learned Todd made the championship as the number 47 angler. Now for the action. The rough water on day 2 posed one last problem for anglers returning to the weigh-in. This is Jerry Williams. He needed to ride the waves and get back on time because he had 17 pounds and he finished in 17th place. Here's NASCAR pro Sandy Melvin nearly leaving the water on his way back, but the photo showing the most air goes to Kellogg's pro Clark Wendlandt, who had the ride of his life coming back to weigh-in.
Castrol Rookie Report.
The top rookie at the Forest Wood Open was Rogersville, Alabama's Jonathan Newton, who finished 3rd in just his 3rd event as an FLW pro. Also in the top 20 was Michigan's Tony DiFilippo, who finished 16th. Tony also snagged a 14th place finish at the Atchafalaya Basin. At each tournament on the FLW Tour this year, we give you, the viewer, an opportunity to vote for the Eagle Claw hook set of the Tournament Award, and here's the winner from Kentucky Lake. Thanks for logging on to FLWOutdoors.com to select the Eagle Claw Hook Set Award. Your winner from Kentucky Lake is Greg Hackney. With the dexterity of a dancer, the Hackman pounced on his prey on the deck of his Ranger right at the foot of our cameraman. For his effort, Eagle Claw will present Greg Hackney with a $1,000 Walmart gift card. Congratulations to Yamaha pro Greg Hackney. Now here's your chance to vote for the winner from Lake Champlain. You can take part in the Eagle Claw Hook Set of the Day Award. Log on to FLWOutdoors.com between now and this Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern. Vote for the angler you think had the best hook set. The pro with the most votes wins a $1,000 Walmart shopping card presented by Eagle Claw.
Go back. Where are you going? You got my worm in your mouth, turkey.
Nominee number 1 comes from Aaron Martins, who got a little personal with this keeper.
It's a fish.
Our next nominee is David Walker, who was in the middle of an interview with our own Larry Nixon while he hooked a big one.
Yeah. There's a fish now.
Finally, we have a keeper for Scott Martin, which is really a birthday present for his son, Reed.
Woo-hoo-hoo. Happy birthday, Reed. It's your birthday. Go, Reed. It's your birthday.
Log on to FLWOutdoors.com and pick your winner. Now the FLW Tour will shift its focus to the championship in Birmingham in August. $1.5 million on the line. $500,000 goes to the winner. It's a huge event.
It really is. You know, I love that bracket format. I liked it last year, and thank goodness they brought it back again this year. And you're paired against one guy each day and then a guy the next day, and then all of a sudden you've only got 12 to beat. So that's a total of 14 to win $500,000.
A lot of pros like it. It's bracket-style format, and here's a look at how it works.
The most exciting event in professional fishing is back and better than ever. The $1.5 million 2004 FLW Tour Championship will feature the best anglers of the year angling for the payday of a lifetime, $500,000. It's a life-changing event in a thrilling head-to-head format that's a first in this sport. It's angler against angler for the best prize in the sport. The top seed will face the 48th seed in the first round, and the second seed will meet number 47, and so on through the bracket. Winners in the first round will advance to the semifinals for more head-to-head action. Then on the final day, the final 12 anglers will all fish for the big money, $500,000. Here's a look at some of the fun matchups. How about Greg Hackney, who is having the season of a lifetime, against Todd Airy, the local angler with the opportunity of a lifetime. Other fun matchups include 2 Tennessee anglers, BF Goodrich pro David Walker against Fuji pro Wesley Strader, and 2 Florida pros. There's hotshot rookie Glenn Brown against Okeechobee's Kobe Krieger. As you can tell, it's a big event for the anglers and also a big event for the fans. Mark the dates on your calendar. The FLW Tour Championship, August 11th through the 14th in Birmingham, Alabama. You'll see history when one angler walks away with the title and a $500,000 payday.
Well, the FLW Championship is going to be a giant show. The total purse, $1.5 million, and the winner takes home $500,000. It's going to be unbelievable. Kids will enjoy this as well. More than $100,000 in free giveaways with an interactive fun zone for kids, capped off with a drawing after the final weigh-in where one fan wins a NASCAR Limited Series Ranger 521 VX Bass boat powered by Evan Root. Free admission. It's all in Birmingham at the Birmingham Jefferson Convention Center, Birmingham, Alabama, August 11th through 14th. For more information, go to FLWOutdoors.com.
All right, when we join you next week on FLW Outdoors, we'll be in Birmingham to help preview that event. Hank Parker will join us. He'll fish with 3 of our contenders, and we'll take a look at that exciting FLW Tour Championship. It's next week on FLW Outdoors.